Hi folks, it's Neil from ECS Coffee. Today we're going to talk about noise and grinders, and for that couple where one of you gets up before the other one in the morning and makes a coffee, are you going to wake up the whole household? One of the two questions we get when people come into our showroom is how hot is the coffee and how loud is the machine? So today we're going to address how loud the machine is. I've got myself a little fancy decibel reader here that we're going to use as we grind and brew through all of the super automatic machines we have in our showroom, as well as we're going to use Breville because they have a built-in grinder. So anyone with a grinder on board, we're not going to do machines that are a little higher end, so nothing like a Rocket or a Laylet or a Nuvo Simonelli or anything like that. This is mostly for the people that are looking to press a button and get a cup of coffee, but we want to include Breville because it is in that same sort of area price point. So there is ambient noise, obviously, in our showroom. We have people in the background shopping, and we have our roaster running, making our coffee. But this is going to kind of show you which one is the quietest, because we're going to hold this little doohickey up in front of the machines as we go from each of them. My bet is going to be the Miele will be the quietest, but let's see. We're going to do Miele, we're going to do Jura or Jura, we're going to do Delonghi, Breville, and Seiko. And that should cover most of the ones we have here, and go from there. I'm actually shooting this after we filmed the video, realizing it was a pretty long video of us watching coffee going into a cup with the decibel reader, which really didn't make much sense. The loudest part of any of these espresso machines is going to be the grinder, so we're actually going to cut out all that other stuff and just have the grinder noise. The noise that comes out when you're actually brewing is negligible. They're all about the same, around 60 to 65 decibels. Not going to wake someone up in the morning. So we're just going to focus on the grinder for this video, but rest assured we did run the whole thing through and it was the loudest point. So let's see what happens. So we're going to start with the Miele. Our average decibel. I'll be quiet for a second. Let's see what we get. We're sitting around 47 just for the ambient noise in the room. So let's make a drink. We're just going to make one quick drink with each, and I'm going to hold the decibel meter just out in front here. Looks like it's maxing out at 81.4. Don't see it going any higher than that. So now we're going to do the Jura or Jura S8, and then we're going to do the ENA 8 as well. ENA 8's being a little bit newer. Keep in mind when I do speak, the meter goes up. So again, we're going to look for the maximum level on the grinder, then I'm going to turn it off to adjust as it's brewing out. Let's see what happens. So about 79.8 on the grinder. That's the S8. We're going to do also the ENA. It's a newer machine, but let's see what we get out of the ENA, which is also a Jura machine. So we got 77 on this guy. That's a little bit quieter than the other ones, I believe. And that's the Jura ENA 8 or Jura ENA 8. Now we're going to go over to actually we'll do the Delonghis next. We'll do Breville's last. Okay, so now we're at the Delonghi Primadonna S. Let's see what happens when we press the button. Let me try that again. 79.3. And we're going to the Delonghi Dynamica now. It's got 77.5. So again, some of these are different price points. We're going to do the Philips 3200 next. We did the Primadonna, which is a little more expensive. The Miele is a little more expensive, as are the Juras. But again, I think it's important for people that are looking for a super automatic to kind of understand the differences, because typically the grinders are somewhat the same on board. So your Philips 3200, let's see what we get out of this guy. I'm just going to make an espresso. So we got to 82.5, which is the loudest one we've had so far. So now we're going to move on to machines with a grinder on board with a portafilter. So we're going to do both the Delonghi Specialista, and we're going to move over to do 3 of the Brevilles, because we have a Barista Express, which is the original one. It's been in our showroom for a little bit. So just to be fair, we've been using that one for a bit. We want to use some of the newer models to see how brand new out of the box the sound's going to be. So let's go to La Specialista and we'll see what we get. Definitely a little bit louder. We get to 83 there. So now we'll go over to the Breville Barista Express. Okay, so Breville Barista Express, most popular machine we have. Probably a little louder because grinder's up here. It's a portafilter, but let's see what happens. So max of 85.9. So on the pour, we got to about 70, a little louder. Again, placement of this unit is not an exact science, and that's not what this is an exact science, but just to kind of, this is the first time we've done this, so let's just continue along. We're going to go to the Barista Touch, which is a newer unit for us, newer in our showroom, hasn't been used as much, see if there's a difference. They're probably going to be very similar, but let's find out. So let's see what kind of noise this guy makes. I might recall earlier we said 80 was around blender noise. I don't know if this is, the blenders I've used, they seem a little bit louder than this, but that's what the internet says is a blender is about 80 decibels, so there you go. But it's for a much shorter period of time, which is nice. We'll do one more Breville just to make sure, and we'll wrap it up. So far, I think the Miele seems to be the winner, but I'm gonna have to go back through the notes and see.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, and lastly, we're going to do the Barista Pro, which you go Barista Express, Barista Pro, Barista Touch. See if there's a difference between these guys. And again, I think it'll be roughly the same, but let's find out. There we go, I hit 85.9, so kind of in line. This has weirdly been one of the longest videos I've done because I keep going back and double checking the numbers. In fact, we actually redid all of these separately in a quiet room to see if the results would be different with ambient noise. And although the numbers were slightly different, down or up, they actually did rank pretty much the same way. The nice thing is none of these machines are going to really cause you much grief in the way of noise. The one way to get around it is if the machine does have the ability to use a bypass, which most of them do, you can pre-grind your coffee or have a tin of coffee or a bag of ground coffee to use that in the morning. Alternatively, even with the Barista Express, you could theoretically pre-grind into your portafilter. I know that's blasphemous the night before, depending on how fresh you want your coffee ground. So that is one way around it. We don't recommend it, but you can do that. So the results came in, if you look at the super automatics, the quietest was the Jura NA8, then the Dynamica, which surprised me, the Primadonna from Delonghi, so Delonghi Dynamica, Delonghi Primadonna, then the Jura S8, then the Miele, then the Philips. And understandably, the Philips is a lot less expensive than the other machines, so keep that in mind. That's going to be less than $1,000. The other ones here are over $1,000, so that is something to keep in mind. In the portafilters that we did do with the grinder on board, they were actually pretty similar, but the Delonghi Specialista was the quietest, the Barista Express and then the Pro, and then the Touch was the noisiest. But again, we're talking about a decibel or two, nothing major. So understand if you're going to buy one of these machines, they are going to have some noise. For most people, it won't be an issue. For some people, they do ask that question to us. And so we did want to do this, sort of test for you to see if it was massively different between them. And really, at the end of the day, it's not a massive difference. Anyway, if you like what you see, have any questions, please feel free to ask below. Subscribe, and we'll see you soon.